learning how to declutter in simple ways throughout my day have made the biggest impact in keeping my house very minimal. But what I will say is that deciding what to declutter and how to declutter and when to declutter was not just completely obvious to me when I first started to organize and declutter about 5 years ago. These next 4 ways that I declutter now throughout my day would have helped me as well along the way. So let's start with the first one. That is one of the most easy things, but if you were like me and you were a shopaholic and you bought tons of extra clothes just in case, this is what I want you to do. When you wake up in the morning and you're trying on your outfits and you're going through your clothes and you start to get that pile of clothes on the floor of things that are just not working or you don't want to wear that day, you're not sure what goes with what, I want you to start really assessing when's the last time that I wore this outfit, when is the last time I put the shirt on, how does this shirt feel on my body, and why am I taking it back off and putting it on the floor instead of wearing it? Why am I so unhappy with it? And if the answer is that you just aren't comfortable in that shirt, you don't think it looks good on you, you don't like the color of it, but instead of hanging it back up eventually when you get home, I want you to just put it in a separate pile. And if you can't decide in that moment, maybe you're waking up and you're having to run to work, instead of just either hanging it back up in your closet or putting it back in your drawer, I want you to put it in a separate pile for a time that you can think about decluttering these items. Because when our clothing keeps going back to the floor, we keep trying it on over and over again, and it does not work for us. I hate to tell you, but those things are not going to change. You're not going to magically one day have a reason to wear this particular outfit that just never feels right in the morning when you're trying it on. I know from personal experience, I had so many pieces of clothing, and I always thought that I needed a lot of clothes because what if there was that one day that I wanted to wear this one particular black shirt and I found the perfect pants to go with it. So I'd hang on to this black shirt forever and ever, even though I never liked the cut. I didn't like the way it felt on me. I told you guys all about my Lilly Pulitzer journey and how I absolutely love it on other people. And there are certain designs that maybe one day down the road I will try. But over and over again, I kept trying on Lilly Pulitzer, thinking that it's gonna be so cute on me, and then just never wearing those kind of expensive pieces that I would bring into my wardrobe. Luckily, I always bought them secondhand, but still, they were expensive. And I just kept picturing this person that I wanted to be, but I wasn't that person. And so if you know what I mean, it just felt like trying these clothes on, I always felt not authentic to myself. I never felt like myself when I would wear them. And so even though I kept them because one day I was going to be this person, I never wore them. So looking through your clothes as you're trying things on, please be mindful of when you take out a piece of clothing and you continue to take out this piece of clothing, but you very, very rarely ever wear it, or you're thinking and you're waiting for another piece so that maybe you will wear it. It's not gonna work for you, and that's okay. So this next thing that I would totally recommend for you if you need to declutter your kitchen or you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of things in your kitchen is to start doing your dishes for a week by hand. Don't do them in the dishwasher. I feel like whenever I would do them in the dishwasher, I would, of course, just be throwing things in and trying to get things that done as quickly as possible, very mindlessly paying attention to what I was putting in there. I was just trying to get things in there as quick as possible. But when my dishwasher broke, I don't even remember how long ago now, maybe 6 months, 7 months, I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me when I started talking about it, but my husband looked at it and he's like, oh, it's actually like a $20 piece. I could fix it and it'd be no problem. And then I just realized we have so few dishes. I don't mind washing them. It doesn't bother me to wash them. It's kind of a time when I find peace. But this is why I think you should do it even if you don't like doing dishes. You need to do your dishes for a week because it will help you to identify what are the things that you are washing. Often I found that when I first started doing the dishes, there were a few water bottles that I never touched. There were a few glasses and dishes that I never touched. There were some bowls for cooking that I never washed. And I really started thinking about, why is that? Why am I never seeing these things in the sink? And it was because they were things that I so rarely used. They were water bottles that I just didn't really like. Maybe they leaked a little bit or they weren't big enough. And so I very rarely used them. And that really set off a ding, ding, ding light bulb in my head that, hey, these are things that I am now aware of. I can declutter. I think when we get in that dishwasher mode, and if you can do the same thing with your dishwasher, then fantastic. But for me, it was really physically touching the dish, taking time to wash it, setting it back myself and having to dry it just made me feel a lot more cognizant of what I was doing, as opposed to a dishwasher that I just loaded as quick as possible, took it out as quick as possible, and moved on with my life. It has the convenience factor, but it didn't help me to identify what I was physically washing myself all of the time. So if you have a ton of extra dishes or glasses or mugs and utensils and you're just not sure, what can I live without? Or you're saying to yourself, I have to keep all of it, I can't live without any of it. Then if you try doing your dishes for a week, I guarantee you, you will be more aware of the things that you can declutter, because those things in the back of the cupboard that you have never seen in the sink are the things that you can declutter. All right, so this third one is 100% my favorite decluttering strategy that I use all of the time with almost everything in my home. But before I share it with you, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This channel is called Minimalist, and I'm Becky Truda. And on this channel, I talk about decluttering and living a minimalist life and simplifying, and so that you can do other things. But also, if you are on a decluttering journey already and you are joining us to learn how to declutter, then throw a heart emoji down below and let this community know that we are all in this journey together. But number 3, I love so much because it has realistically helped me probably the most. And that is to start thinking of everything that you own. Everything that you own, from books to decor to things in your kitchen to plants that you keep around the house, as projects. These are projects, things that we have to do, create, take time out of our day to deal with. And here's why. So often I found that I loved collecting things. I loved going to the thrift store. I loved getting a lot of decor. I loved putting a lot of pictures up on the wall. And I found that even though I really enjoyed looking at all of these things, I was very overwhelmed. I had a lot of anxiety being in my home. I never wanted to be home. And this idea of envisioning even decor as a project really helped me to get rid of 85% of the things that I own. Because when you look at the picture that's hanging on the wall, when you go out and you're buying things like little tchotchkes to go on your shelves, or when you are at the bookstore buying new books, I think often we forget that everything that we buy has more than just a monetary value, takes our time, takes our energy, takes up space in our lives. And often, because I would forget that, I would bring all these things in my home, and then either they would stay in the bag with their tags on, or eventually I'd get around to asking my husband for help to hang up new shelving or whatever. But everything took up a lot of energy for me. And even getting books that I really enjoyed took up time. And so when you get too many at one time, you can't read all of those books. You can't do all of those projects. It just takes too much time. And that's when we start to feel that anxiety, that stress on our bodies, because we have too much coming in. So when I looked around my house and I saw all these picture walls I used to have all around my house, those used to be my hands down favorite thing. I thought all the Pinterest boards had all these picture walls and I had to have one too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, when I had to dust all of the pictures, when I had to decide how big the wall should be. Do I need to add more? Do I need to go out and find more decor to add to this picture wall? I just never felt like it felt right. I think that's a really good mindset that I wanted to share with you, that start envisioning the things that you bring in your house and the things that you have on your walls and you have on your bookshelves and those clothes. They are all projects. They're things that you have to wash, you have to take care of. And if you don't have the bandwidth to deal with that project, then it really is just clutter for you, and you can 100% declutter it, and it will not be a project for somebody else. Somebody else is going to be so excited to receive that item from you. The fourth one is to go into a room. Say you are sitting down watching TV and you're done, you turn the TV off. Instead of just walking straight out of that room, try and have the mindset, I'm gonna make this room between 5 and 10% cleaner or tidier or more decluttered than when I walked in it. So this idea has helped me so much, because I think a lot of times I felt like I had to clean the whole room or not at all. I had to go through the entire room and clean everything or just forget it. But really, that is not an idea that is sustainable. But this one is. You can pick up the dishes you brought in and go clean them. You can pick up the annoying pair of shoes in the corner that have been driving you crazy all day, and you can go put them away. 5 to 10%, though doesn't seem like a lot, makes a really radical change in that room. Just tidying up that little thing that has been bothering you is going to, one, be able to be something that you can check off your list, so you're automatically feeling better about yourself in that situation. But your room is going to always feel a little bit better than if you were just to walk away and say, I'm going to come back later and clean the whole thing. I found that this idea really helps me because I am somebody who often procrastinates when it comes to things that I just didn't really want to do. They just bothered me a little bit, but I will procrastinate about them a ton. So I'll give you some very real examples here. There are lots of times that I will drop a hair bow on the ground and I will just leave it there because I didn't notice it at first. And then when I come back in the room, it's still there and I've noticed it. And then I'll walk away and do something else and I'll come back and I still notice it. There's literally one sitting right near me right now. And I'll walk away and I'll continue to do that over and over again, day after day, noticing it. So obviously it's bothering me, but not bothering me enough that I do anything about it. Well, this idea changes that, because that is my 5 to 10%. All I have to do is pick up that hair scrunchie and put it away, and then I'm done. That's all I have to do in this room. That was my 5 to 10%. Or all I have to do is water the plant that might be dying in the corner, or all I have to do. But when you say to yourself, oh, I just have to do this one thing. Let me just do this one thing before I leave. It's amazing how our brains are like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. That's not hard. That's not difficult. Whereas we say to ourselves, I have to clean this entire room, so I'm definitely not doing it now. I don't have time. We will stop ourselves from living a little bit cleaner, a little bit tidier, a little bit less messy, or even just saying like, oh, I'll declutter one thing before I leave this room. Just one thing or two things. That's it. That's all I have to declutter when I walk into this room, and putting that in your decluttering basket by your door and then just being like, I'm done. That's it. That's all I have to do. It's amazing how much better we can feel about ourselves. It builds up our self-esteem. It makes us feel better about our homes, and it makes us want to be in our homes so much more when we don't overwhelm ourselves with this huge chore list of things we have to do, but we're just saying, I'm going to do 5 to 10% before I leave this room and make this room feel a little bit better before I go to the next one. All right, so there's going to be several more videos that are popping right here about decluttering. So go ahead and click on one of them that interests you, and I hope that you have a wonderful, organized, decluttered, and beautiful day.